Hi everyone, Grant K here for the Flame Premium Learning Channel. Welcome to part 3, looking at the new Gmask Tracer in Flame Premium 2016 Extension 1. In the previous video, we covered using multiple Gmask shapes as well as blending them together. We also expanded on the whole 3D environment within the Gmask Tracer that allows for some great workflows. But it's also fully compatible with the Action Gmasks. In this video, we look at a workflow using the new Tracer functionality. In short, this allows you to define localized keying based on the Gmask shape. This is something that could speed up difficult roto work, and I definitely think it's worth looking into. If you would like to follow along, please click the link in the YouTube description to download the media. Alternatively, if you're watching the podcast version of this video, then type the link displayed in your web browser. So just to set the scenario, I have already done a quick example of regular rotoscoping. For images like this, sometimes it's the only way to proceed. I did try keying this in the first video to pull a matte, but the results weren't brilliant, simply because this was not originally shot for keying. Normally we land up rotoscoping something like this, manually or tracked. But the emphasis is extracting the matte with a good edge. So there is nothing wrong with this tried and trusted method. But now you have an alternative in the form of the tracer. To use the tracer, start off with a fresh Gmask Tracer node. Now, the best advice people have ever given me with regards to rotoscoping is to break the job to small, manageable sections. So you'll create 3 Gmasks in total. They will be tracked and keyed with the Gmask Tracer. Now scrub to the last frame of the clip where we have the cleanest shot of the phone. In the Node Bin menu, double-click on the Gmask node. Create a 4-point Gmask shape around the phone. Note that I have left quite a bit of room around the phone to give a bigger tracking reference. So to track this Gmask to the phone, switch to the Object menu. Now you have 2 choices at this point. You can either choose to track the axis of the Gmask shape by using this menu. This moves the Gmask shape in 3D space, but the shape remains constant. Or alternatively, you can switch to the tracking menu under the Gmask tab. This will alter the actual shape of the Gmask based on the track. So let's say I want the shape to change over time. In the Gmask tracking menu, ensure the mode is set to planar. Ensure that lighting, occlusions, and track backwards is enabled. Click Snap to define the tracking reference on the last frame. If you do not see the tracking references, hover over the view and press F8 for the object view. Next, click Analyze. The Gmask control points will inherit the tracking data as opposed to the axis. If you want to offset the control points from the tracking data, ensure that Auto Key is enabled. Now move the control points until you're happy with the positioning. Once again, we're not too concerned with the edge because we're about to perform a localized key. Turn Auto Key off. Now if you look at the result view with F4, it's quite a bad Gmask shape that is tracked to the phone. To make this useful, ensure the Gmask node is selected in the schematic. Press F8 to bring up the object view again. Switch to the Tracer menu under the Gmask tab. So the first step is to define the background and foreground for the tracer. Click the Analysis button. Looking in the object view, you will see a box with red points and a box with green points. Make note that the red box defines the foreground and the green box defines the background. Move the red box over an area you want to keep. For example, the edge of the phone. Next, move the green box over the bright background. We want to exclude this from the tracer. Now the tracer does not appear to be doing very much. To see the result of the tracer, press the F8 hotkey. This brings up the Gmask keyer output for the object view. So the whole frame is being keyed, but you only need to focus inside the Gmask shape. You can switch to F4 to see the final output, but you need to be looking at the Gmask keyer output in order to tweak the tracer. Now, for those of you interested in a brief technical explanation, there is one key performed on the foreground and one performed on the background. These two keys are combined and analyzed to produce this result. This is a new 3D keying algorithm in Flame Premium. In order to tweak this key, there are quite a few options. Firstly, on screen, the position and size of each box will affect the analysis. There are also a variety of controls in the tracer menu. First, you have the softness for the foreground key and background key. These increase and decrease the volume of each 3D key to include more or less color. Next, you have the post-processing options. After the two keys have been analyzed and combined, you can adjust shrink or dilate the result to tweak the matte. And finally, you can blur the matte as a post-process in the Gmask Tracer. Please note that the softness and post-processing values can be animated and they are independent from any analysis picker. Now everything you have done only applied to the selected Gmask. If you scrub the result, the key works throughout the sequence. The colors are sampled and analyzed on a specific frame. So if you're looking at any other frame, you will not see the boxes. If you want to refine the key on the original frame, you can click the previous and next button depending on what frame you're on. Press F4 for the result view. So using the tracer with the Gmask, you have created your first localized key. Now you will combine this with other Gmasks to extract the other parts of the shot. But the workflow is not locked in stone. So let's create the next Gmask shape, key it first, and then track it. Go to the first frame. Go to the node bin and double-click on the Gmask. Hover over the view and press F8 for the object view. Draw a Gmask around the left hand. Once you have closed the Gmask, switch to the object menu. Now let's create the localized key. Ensure the Gmask node is selected and you are looking at the object view for the Gmask shape. As before, switch to the tracer menu and click the Add button. Place the red foreground box on the sleeve and the green background box on the background. Press F8 to see the Gmask keyer output. So the sleeve keys pretty well on the image. However, since this is keying the sleeve and not the skin tone, you will see grey areas on the hand. In this case, you can add more pickers to further analyze the image before generating the key. We need another foreground picker. Click Add Foreground. You get a second red foreground box that you can position over the skin. This will analyze this area as parts of the key. So when we adjust the softness as well as post-processes, we can achieve a clean key. We'll come back to the key if needs tweaking, but let's track the Gmask shape. This time, we'll track the axis. Double-click on the axis to select it. Always remember to select the node first before switching to the relevant object view. Hover over the view and press F8 for the axis object view. Switch to the tracking menu under the Axis tab. Change the tracking mode to planar. Enable lighting and occlusions. Click Snap to set the reference. I just want to point out that we keyed the Gmask shape before tracking in this instance. As a result of this workflow, the keyed image is being used as the reference. This can sometimes help with getting a better track. If you want the reference to consider the entire Gmask shape and not the key, you can disable the key in the tracer menu. You can always turn it back on after the track. Now press Analyze. Once the track is complete, you can scrub the frames to check the track. Next, select the Gmask node in the schematic view. Hover over the Axis Object view and press F8 to switch to the Gmask keyer output. Now scrub through the frames again. If there's a change to the image that affects the key, you can refine the key at any frame. As an example, let's say that this small artifact is a problem. So scrub to a frame where it is first seen as an issue and click Add under Analysis. The boxes are keyframed at this current frame. Whether you tweak the tracer or add more foreground and background boxes to fix the issue, it will only start from this frame. And as before, you can navigate the keyframes with Previous and Next. Once again, switch back to the result view to see the combination of the Gmasks in the Gmask Tracer. Now there is one more hand to roto in this example. So pause the video here and try the other hand for yourself to get the hang of the Gmask Tracer. Here is the final result using just 3 Gmask shapes, planar tracking, and the tracer. So the Gmask Tracer tool is packed full of useful masking features. It is available in all creative areas of Flame Premium, and that makes it very useful for a variety of mix and match workflows to suit your production. I hope you've enjoyed this series on the Gmask Tracer, and I hope to see you again really soon. Comments, feedback, and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Flame Premium Learning channel for future videos.